Okay, we are here to look at Studio 17.5. This is an extension of the ongoing coding events project. And in fact, this picks up where the exercises left off from this particular chapter. So if you did not look at the exercises and do them, let me catch you up to speed. Basically, another new class was added, event category. Previously there was a enum created to have, categories like meetup and conference, and workshop. And now, we have this event category, and it has its own repository and, its own controller and some, new templates. And this says display all events. I really think what they mean is display all categories, because it really is just about the categories. And so, all of this was done in the exercises, and it turns out looking a bit like this. You've got links to them on the nav menu, and you've got this list of categories. You've got a create form, and then once you submit something, it goes back, and you should see your results. So that's kind of where it leaves off, and then you pick up with that to do the studio. So if you did not do the exercises and you don't have that code of your own, they do have this link here. To provide the code. It's a good starting point for you. So you can always go and use this code instead as a starting point, because you kind of can't do this unless you have both classes, event and event category, because the whole point of this is to pull some things out of both of these classes into a parent class, a super class called abstract entity. So that really is exactly what all we're going to be doing, and this should be fairly short at this point. So ID, and then of course get ID, the getter, and then the equals and hash code methods. Those are completely redundant code from entity to entity. And right now we have two entities, event and event category. So the idea here is that we'll have this abstract class, which if you remember, way back when we talked about abstract classes for Java, is just a way for you to have some things that you can kind of consolidate and then pass down. And there's a few things that we have to put into place in order to make it work for with Hibernate and our persistent database. But this is actually pretty straightforward. So let's just walk through it. Let's do it. So I've got our two classes, these entity classes now, which have been, turned into models that can be used directly with a MySQL database through this tool Hibernate that's able to interpret, things like ID and generated value to understand that this is a primary key, and all of that. And we have repositories for them here, which now handle all of our CRUD operations. So the thing to do is just to pull some things out and put them into a new model. So I'm going to actually go to the models folder here, create new Java class, and call it abstract entity. And my keyboard did something. So let's try this. Let's try that again. As I was typing, I must have hit something. All right, abstract entity, and that's it, regular class. But in order to make it abstract, we do have to add abstract here, public abstract class, abstract entity. And then all we need to put inside are the 4 pieces of things that they tell us to over here. So I'm going to go over to event, and I'm going to grab them from here. And the first will be this bit here. I'll pull that over here. And I can kind of clean up my notes here. This is from my previous branch. Okay, and then I can come down and find the getter. It's just right here. Pull that out. And I can come down and find the equals and hash code methods that were added down here for this, that just made sure that it compared it on the basis of an ID. And I'll place that in here as well. And we do need to change this now because abstract entity is now the name of the class generically that we're working with. So we can call this entity, call this entity. And now everything here should work. We'll come back to this in a second because there is an annotation we're going to add to this for Hibernate to work properly. But let's come back and finish cleaning up event first. The main thing here is that now that, well, we can take some imports out, right? So let me fix that up, clean that all up there. We just need to extend abstract entity now. And then similarly, over an event category, I can take the ID out here, take the getter out here. I don't think I ever added the equals and hash. Nope, I didn't. So all I need to do here is clean up the import statements and then extends abstract entity. There you go. So these both should be able to use this now, but there is this, let me make sure I'm not forgetting anything before I say any more. Yeah, we did that. We moved the code into the superclass. Yeah, this annotation, this is the last thing. Okay, I told you this was going to be short. Mapped superclass. And essentially what this does is it makes sure that Hibernate knows to apply the ID to the individual tables of whatever inherits from it. So there's no table for abstract entity. There's going to be a table for events and a table for categories. And the IDs will belong to those and not to this, not to anything else. So this is what communicates that, so that Hibernate knows to apply the IDs to those tables and use them as the primary keys for those individual tables that are inheriting from this. So I hope that's clear. Yeah, so let's just make sure this all works, right? I mean, I think we got it, but let's do a reality check. I come over here and see where I am on my tables. I've got some stuff in here, just a couple of things. Yeah, so I could pull these out, make them easier to read. It's funny, I don't know why, but this jumped from like 1 to 52. And I deleted 52, but I don't know what happened to 2 through 51. It's really kind of funny. Guess Hibernate just decided to jump forward. Okay, so we are up and running. Let me come over here and let's just go all the way back to the beginning here. Okay. You're going to see some things that don't look exactly the same as yours. Those are decisions that I made like 8 branches ago, like in chapter 14 or 15 or something. So that's fine. But here we are. So we have all of our events. So let's test creating an event and make sure that it all gets set up right. So I could do the strange loop one, and we'll call that a St. Louis dev. I don't know what to call it, conference. We'll call it a conference. And this is going to be someone at somewhere.com, and we'll call it a conference. That's fine. Create event. And there it is, which means we should see it over here if I come and refresh. Yep. Okay, so this is working. Oh yeah, and it went to 102. Isn't that funny? That's interesting. I'm gonna have to look into that. But yeah, we have now this is all working exactly as expected. It's using the ID field from abstract entity and applying it to events as expected. So this is really all there is to this. And this is a very good strategy because you are always going to have fields that everything's going to have in common. And the first one is ID. So I've seen programs where there were multiple levels of abstract classes so that you could continue to have inheritance of things like names or other fields that might be common to a lot of other entities. And so it's possible that when you get into your capstone project in Unit 3, you might think through all your data schemas of, how you need to organize all your data for your project. And it might make sense to you to have multiple abstract entities that can all inherit from this top level one with the ID. So those are just things to think about. It can be really useful to have some of this stuff kind of centralized so that you don't have so much repetition across all your other classes when things start to get more detailed. All right, so that really is it. And so I am going to stop there, and you guys can certainly hop into the lecture questions channel if you've got questions for me about this. Otherwise, I will see you next time.